children, how are you? I hope you all are doing well and studying well. So children, as I said earlier, science means everything around us, everything that is present in the nature that we use, okay, that is important for us, for our survival. Everything about each and everything that is exist in the nature or around us is science. So children, here now we are going to talk about soil, which is another major factor, okay, in our life. So let's learn about how is the soil formed, the formation of soil. What are the different types of soil, life in the soil and methods of conservation of soil. Okay, how can you conserve soil? So now we all know that soil is nothing but a natural resource on which, okay, crops are grown and many things happen. Okay, so soil is basically the surface of the earth. Now, soil is one of the most important natural resource. It supports the growth of plants by holding the roots firmly. It supplies water and nutrients to the plants. It is home for many organisms. The fragrance of soil after the first rain is always refreshing. Now, soil is formed by breaking down of rocks by the action of wind, water and climate. This process is called weathering. The rotting dead matter in the soil is called humus. Okay? Now, what is soil? It is a natural resource. It is already there on the surface of the earth. Okay? The land area has soil as its surface. Okay? Now, it supports the growth of plants by holding the roots firmly. Even deep down the seas and oceans and all, you will see the plants are growing there. How do these plants grow? How are they attached to the ground, to the surface of the earth? Through soil. Okay, so there is soil present inside the water as well, okay, at the surface of the water as well. Now, this soil which is there, okay, it is a major factor for the growth of plants. Okay, it holds the roots also very firmly. Now, apart from that, the soil supplies water and nutrients to the plant. So, whatever the nutrients, whatever minerals go to the plant are through the soil. Okay. So, when we also water plants at home, we don't put water on top of the plant, we put it on at the bottom, that is in the soil. Okay. We pour water in the soil and then the soil does the job of spreading the water all around the plant, okay, along with the nutrients. Now, the fragrance of soil, okay, after the first rain, when the first rain falls on the surface of the earth, the fragrance of soil is always very refreshing. You feel very nice when you get that fragrance. Now, how is this soil formed? It is formed by breaking down of rocks, okay, by the action of wind, water and climate. So, when rocks break down, okay, due to wind, water, climate, that is when the soil is formed. And now, this process of breaking down of rocks, okay, by the action of wind, water and climate is known as weathering. Okay. The rotting dead matter in the soil. So, whatever dead matter remains in the soil is known as humus. Okay. Now, wind and water. So, look at the first picture, look at the diagram here, how is the soil formed, okay. Wind and water, they break down big rocks. So, whatever big rocks are there, they are broken down because of wind and water, okay. Now, after that small rocks are formed. When they are broken down, small rocks are formed. Now, these small rocks, okay, then tiny parts of these rocks, they combine with dead plants, okay, and animals from the soil. So, dead plants and animals, you will see they always go into the soil only. Okay. So, when any plant is dead or when any animal is dead, they are buried in the soil only. So, then tiny parts of rocks combine with dead plants and animals from the soil, and then plants starts to grow on the topmost layer of the soil, and then new plants are formed. Okay. So, soil is made of different layers. Now, soil has different layers. So, first layer is the topsoil. This is the uppermost layer of the soil which contains dead and decaying matter of plants and animals. So, this is the uppermost portion of a layer of the soil where the dead and decaying matter is there. Okay. Then the color of this soil is brown due to the presence of humus. As we said, what is humus? Humus is the rotting dead matter which is present in the soil. Now, because of humus, the color of the soil is brown. This is the most fertile layer. Plants grow in this layer. Okay. Fertile as in they are the most suitable for reproduction of the plants. Now, then comes the subsoil. Subsoil is below the topsoil and it is lighter in color. Okay. The particles of this soil are bigger as compared to the topsoil. Then comes the bedrock. The soil particles are still bigger and mostly it contains stones and rocks. So, the bedrock, the particles are bigger, mostly they have stones and rocks in it, okay, the particles of that. So, if you look at the diagram, you will come to know how are these layers of the soil formed. So, bedrock, okay, when broken, you get subsoil, and when subsoil is further broken down, you get this topsoil, okay. Now, what are the different components or constituents of soil? So, what is soil made up of? Okay, rock particles, there are minerals, there is humus, there is moisture, there is air, and there is soil organism form. Okay, the soil organisms, they form most of the soil. Now, let us talk about the different types of soils. The soil is classified on the basis of proportion of particles of various size. Okay, so, now if you look at this diagram here of the components of soil, you will see the different layers of it, okay, the different components of it. Now, first let us talk about the sandy soil. Okay. Now, sandy soil is made up of what? As the name says, it is made up of sand. Okay. Now, sand particles, they are bigger in size, okay, and they have lots of space and can hold air. Now, they have lots of space and they can hold air between them. So, this soil cannot hold much water because there is so much space in between them, it cannot hold water, okay, and it is mixed with cement and then it is used for making buildings. So, you know that plants cannot grow in this type of soil because plants require water for growth, and when you use sandy soil for growth of plants, okay, they will never grow because they will not survive. Okay. Now, this soil, when you mix it with cement, okay, you must have seen at the construction sites and all, if there is some construction going on around your house, you will see that they mix the sandy soil with the cement, okay, and then it is used for building for the purpose of making buildings. Okay. Then comes the loamy soil. What is the loamy soil? It is the mixture of clay and sand with a lot of humus forms, okay. When the mixture of clay and sand with a lot of humus form loam or garden soil. Okay, so, that is when the garden soil is formed, it is very fertile. Now, it is a mixture of clay and sand. This is the best soil, loamy soil is the best soil for growing plants because it can hold enough water. Okay, there is a lot of humus in it. Okay, that is when it forms a loam or garden soil. Now, next is the clayey soil. It has small and tightly packed particles. Okay. This can hold lots of water, but not air. It is found in ponds and riverbeds. So, this type of soil, okay, clayey soil, clay, we use it for making what? Pots or toys or tiles or bricks and all, because it cannot grow, again in this soil you cannot grow plants because it does not have air, which is another factor for the growth of plants. But we can use this soil, okay, to make pots, toys, tiles, bricks, etc. Now, let us do this activity to find out the type of soil with maximum water holding capacity. So, which is the type of soil that can contain a lot of water in it. Okay. So, what are the materials required? You require 50 gram 3 types of soil such as sandy, clay and loamy. Okay, 3 funnels, 3 beakers and water. What is the procedure? You put 3 types of soil in 3 funnels and label them as A, B and C. Okay, you can refer to the diagram, you will come to know. Put these funnels in the beaker. So, you add or you label the funnels, you put them in the beaker. Okay. Now, you will pour equal quantity of water in all 3 funnels. So, the water should be equal in all 3 of them. Leave the setups for an hour. Just leave it like that for an hour and then record your observation. Okay. You will observe that the funnel with sandy soil, okay, the funnel that had sandy soil in it, okay, it has maximum amount of water, okay, in the beaker, whereas the funnel with clay soil has least amount of water in beaker. So, conclusion is that this activity proves that clay soil has maximum water retention capacity. So, the clay soil can hold a lot of water for for a longer period of time. Okay. Now, what does soil consist of? Okay, what are the properties of soil? Soil contains air. So, air is trapped in the space between the particles of soil. So, between the soil particles there is air. Okay. Fill a glass with water, put a handful of dry soil in it. We will see bubbles coming out of the soil. These are air bubbles which are trapped between the soil. Okay, soil particles. So, whatever when you pour, when you fill the glass with water and then you add a dry soil to it, you will see bubbles coming up. Now, these bubbles are nothing but the air that was trapped in between the soil particles. Okay. Then, soil contains moisture, okay, or water. The water trapped between the particles of soil is called moisture. Okay. So, moisture means the water that is inside the particles of the soil. You have to take a glass jar, put some soil into it. Now, close it and keep it in the sun. Okay. After an hour, fill the inside of jar with fingers. Okay. When you start feeling it with your fingers, we will feel droplets of water. As the soil gets hot, the water in it changes into water vapor. Okay. Evaporation happens, and because of this, it rises up in the air. Okay. Soil contains living organisms. Soil is a home of many living organisms such as ants, beetles, bugs, moles, rats, earthworms, rabbits, snakes, etc. Where do they all live? They live inside the soil. Okay. Snakes dig holes inside the soil and in which they live. Okay. Soil also contains small organisms known as microbes, for example, bacteria, fungi, etc. Okay. And these can be observed only under a microscope. Okay. You cannot see them with bare eyes. Now, what is soil erosion? Okay. The removal of top layer of soil by water and wind. Okay. So, when the top layer of this soil gets washed away because of water or because of wind, okay, then it is known as soil erosion. Okay. Now, what are the causes of soil erosion? How does it happen? Okay. What are the factors? Large scale cutting of trees. Trees hold the water, okay, but when you cut them, okay, trees hold water in it, they are fixed inside the soil, okay, and that is why they make the soil quite healthy. But if you remove the trees, okay, large scale cutting of trees, that is one of the factor when the soil gets washed away. Okay. Then overgrazing in the forest. When lot of overgrazing happens, okay, because of the lack of trees, then whatever area is required for grazing, that's been overused. Okay, that's when soil erosion happens. Leaving the land uncultivated. So, when you don't grow crops on a particular land, okay, slowly and gradually the soil erosion happens. Okay. Then when there are forest fires. So, how can you prevent this soil erosion? Mainly, first and foremost reason, okay, the way is to plant more trees, okay, by planting more trees, by preventing overgrazing, okay, by step farming. So, that means you do farming on steps, okay. So, by constructing dams so that the water does not enter into the field areas, it stops near the dams, okay. Now, What is soil pollution? You know, a major factor happens, okay, wherein of the air or the water getting contaminated, okay, it is all called pollution, okay. Now, any unwanted substance, anything that is not required, okay, in the soil, it causes soil pollution. Now, by adding waste into the soil, excessive use of fertilizers and pesticides, they can destroy the soil, okay, untreated sewage and plastic waste. So, all these factors can are a reason for soil pollution, okay. How do you conserve the soil? What is the method by which you can conserve soil? Okay, to protect the soil from agents of erosion like wind and water, okay, plant more trees and grasses. Plants bind the soil firmly with their roots. Then by doing step farming, okay, by constructing dams across the rivers to stop floods. And soil, as we all know, is a valuable natural resource and should be conserved. So, we must take steps to conserve soil and not let it get eroded. Alright, now let us do a quick recap of the chapter. Soil is the dark brown covering over most of the land and earth. Okay, land on the earth is mostly covered by soil. Soil is formed by the process of weathering. Dead animals and plants, they form humus. Okay. Soil contains air, water, minerals, plants and animals. Soil has three layers: topsoil, subsoil and bedrock. Okay. Soil is of three types: sandy, loamy and clayey. Loamy is the best soil for growth of plants. The removal of top layer of earth is known as soil erosion, and soil is a natural resource, so it must be conserved. Okay. Now, let us see how much you followed the chapter and let us do these exercises quickly. Okay. Take the correct option. Which type of soil is good for agriculture? Sandy, loamy, clayey or silt? It is loamy. The process of removal of top layer of soil is called leaching. Soil pollution, soil erosion or soil conservation? It is soil erosion. Which of the following does not cause soil pollution? Plastic, humus, fertilizers, pesticides? It is humus. Okay. Water holding capacity is minimum in sandy soil, loamy soil, clay soil or topsoil? It is in the sandy soil. The layer of soil that contains humus is topsoil, subsoil, bedrock or gravel? It is topsoil. Which of the following is not a component of soil? Plastic, humus, living organisms or moisture? It is plastic. Okay. Humus is made up of, fill in the blanks. It is made up of dead, okay, animals and plants. The dash soil has the highest water holding capacity. Which soil has the highest of it? It is the loamy soil. Okay, the dash soil has the highest water holding capacity. It is the clay soil. Dash soil is the best for the growth of plants, loamy soil. The removal of topsoil by water is called soil erosion. The breakdown of rocks by action of water, wind and climate is weathering. Okay. Now, write true or false. Sandy soil has the highest water holding capacity. Is it true or false? It is false. Plants grow in the subsoil? No, they grow in the topsoil. Sandy soil is found in the ponds? False. Dams are constructed across the rivers to check soil erosion? True. So, they can prevent it from happening. Sandy soil is used for making pots? False. It is the clay soil. Okay. Now, match the column. What is a rotten dead matter? It is humus. Soil rich in humus content is the topsoil. Okay. Soil for making pots? It is the clay soil. Soil for growing plants? It is the loamy soil. And soil for making buildings is sandy soil. Now, circle the odd one out. Rocks, layer of soil, weathering and water? It is water. Okay. Topsoil, gravel, subsoil, bedrock, gravel. Loamy soil, humus, plants and bedrock? It is plants. Earthworm, humus, bacteria, rats, humus. Okay. Now, write one word for the following. The most suitable soil for growth of plants, loamy soil. The removal of top layer of soil, soil erosion. The breaking down of rocks to form soil, weathering. The rotten dead material, humus. Okay. So, children, now it's time for short answer questions. Okay, you have to read the chapter and then quickly answer these questions. What is soil erosion? We've already done this in the objectives. So, you have this answer handy. Okay, it is known as the removal of the top layer of soil. Okay, what are the causes? How does soil erosion happen? Okay, just write in short. Name some living organisms which are present in the soil other than the earthworms. So, there are so many living organisms that live inside the soil. So, talk about them, like for example, snake, rabbits, okay, beetles, bugs, so many of them. Which of the following is the best suited for growing plants? Sandy soil, loamy soil and clay soil. So, which is the best one? It's the loamy soil, and why is what you are going to explain here. Okay. Which soil has the highest water retaining capacity? Okay, it is the clay soil. So, write about it in short, okay, but give the most relevant information here. Long answer questions. Explain different layers of soil with the help of diagram. So, we've already done this, okay. You can reread the chapter, look at the notes, okay, and then write about it. How can you prove that soil contains moisture? Okay, this is also explained in detail. Draw a well-labeled diagram to show different components of soil. So, what all things soil consists of is what you are going to mention here with a diagram. List some measures, okay, to prevent soil erosion. How can you stop soil erosion from happening? Okay, the preventive measures. What is conservation of soil? And list some ways how it can be done. Okay, again you can use some from the soil erosion also, the methods, and then add some more points over here how to conserve the soil. Okay, now critical thinking skills. Why is clayey soil not fit for growing crops? Clay soil has a lot of water holding capacity, but what is it that it does not have and which is a very important factor for the survival of plants? It is the air, okay, because it does not have much air. It has less air spaces, okay. That is the reason why the plants may die and it is not suitable for growing plants or crops. What would happen if soil does not have trapped air? So, if it does not have trapped air, it will not survive. Okay, we all know that living beings, okay, require air for survival. Okay, living beings present in the soil require air to breathe, and if there is no air to breathe, they will die. Okay, now case based study. Okay, this is all we've learned in this chapter already. It's just a gist of it. Okay, soil formation is a very slow process. It took over hundreds of years for the process of soil formation, and it is still going on. Soil is formed by breaking down of rocks by the action of wind, okay, water and climate. This process is called weathering. The rotting dead matter in the soil is called humus. Clay soil is composed of very fine particles with a few air spaces between them. The clay particles are very small. So, they stick together and they can hold a lot of water. It is sticky in nature, it is very smooth to touch, it is used to make toys, flower pots, idols, etc. Sandy soil is mostly seen in the deserts and on the seashore. It is composed of big sand particles that have a lot of air, okay, in the space between them. It is dry and it is a very light soil. It is rough to touch. It is used to make glass. Plants do not grow well in sandy soil. Loamy soil, it's a mixture of what? It is a mixture of clay as well as sand, and thus, okay, it can hold both air as well as water. The presence of humus makes the loamy soil best for growing plants. Okay, now humus makes the soil fertile, and the roots of plants can easily breathe and absorb water in the loamy soil. Okay. Now, clay soil is good for what? To make glass, make toys. Growing crops or none of these? To make toys. Okay. Sandy soil is good for to make glass, to make toys. Growing crops or none of these? To make glass. What is weathering? We've already done this. Okay. Breaking of rocks. Now, What is humus? The decaying matter. Alright. Life skills. Soil has many types of living organisms in it. You have to find out how many worms live in the soil. Okay? And now you have to write about them, right? What are the types of worms that you can see in the soil? You can also see snails, tiny, tiny snails that are there walking in the soil, earthworm. Okay? They also make the soil fertile. Okay? Use watering cans. Okay? Find a grassy spot outside in the school ground. Okay? And using watering can, sprinkle water onto the ground. Wet the soil at one place as much as possible. Do worms appear after a while? How many can you see? So, this is the method by which you can find out, okay, if there are worms and how many can you see. Why worms might come to the surface when it is wet. Now, let us do something new. Take some soil from your school garden and some from your home in 2 glasses. Put some water, let it settle, and see and compare the components of the soil in both the glasses, and which soil has more humus is what you have to find out. Okay? Now, get some clay from the potter and make some toys from the clay. Okay? We sometimes do go to these different exhibitions and fun fairs and all where we see a potter. So, you can sit with the potter and learn some pottery also. Alright, now explore. Soil is an important natural resource. It is to be conserved for better yield of crops. So, different methods of conservation should be opted. The different methods of conservation are contour farming, mulching, strip cropping, tillage, etc. Collect information about these methods. So, these are different methods by which cropping can be done, the conservation of crops can be done. Okay? Also find out where these methods are to be opted. Okay, and what are the benefits of these methods. So, these are different methods that you need to find more information about. But before you find more information about these methods, you need to learn the chapter very well by rereading it, okay, answering all the exercises and all the activities need to be done. Alright, so get going children.